let me tell you for an absolute fact, the number of counterfeit coins out there is scary. All of you have heard about the counterfeiting problem. It's a major problem. Neither President Bush nor President Obama have decided to step up to the plate as far as replacing the Secret Service guys who used to go around and protect us from counterfeits. There aren't as many of those guys out there now. It is actually easier to get counterfeit coins into the US than it was back when I was a kid. And believe me, the Chinese are dumping them hundreds of thousands, perhaps even millions per month in our West Coast seaports and other ports of entry, dumping counterfeit coins here. And of course, there are counterfeit slabs, and we'll get into that problem too. Number one on our list, do not buy coins at flea markets or yard sales. Now, if you want to buy a silver dollar for about 20 bucks and it looks like a real silver dollar, I don't have a problem with that. Do not buy St. Gaudens $20 gold pieces at yard sales. Don't spend $5,000 or $10,000 at a yard sale or a flea market. Have any of you ever heard of the town of Waldo, Florida? Okay, one of the world's biggest flea markets is in Waldo. It's not a great distance from Gainesville. And you can go out there almost any month and put together a complete set of trade dollars, even dates that weren't minted at this particular flea market. And they're not alone, or they're not unique. There are many flea markets, organized flea markets here in the Deep South, particularly in Florida, where you can buy as many bogus coins as you ever thought possible. It's a major problem. A lot of these people do know they're selling counterfeits. Some don't, but it doesn't matter. If you're stuck with a counterfeit, it doesn't make any difference whether it was knowledgeable fraud or just a case of mistaken identity. They are out there in huge quantities. So do not spend serious money at flea markets or yard sales unless you are a true expert. Number two, do not buy raw coins off the internet. As soon as somebody says, I've got an 1804 dollar I bought off the internet, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? That ain't rocket science, is it, boys and girls? Okay. Don't spend serious money on raw coins off the internet. There is a chance you could get a good buy, but I would say there's a better chance that you won't get a good buy. And that's just going on the law of averages. Every month at our headquarters in Tampa at ICG, we have people bringing coins they bought off the internet. The overgraded, misrepresented, and counterfeit rate would blow your socks off. In my opinion, as a professional grader, a majority of the coins sold on the internet are either deliberately or not deliberately misrepresented. They're not a good buy. So act accordingly. Do not buy certified coins from Asian addresses. Does anybody know what I'm referring to here? Counterfeit slabs. A major problem today. We're going to get into the issue of counterfeit slabs a little bit later in the presentation. I will tell you this, to the best of my knowledge, is only one of the big four grading services' entire operation, every element of their label, their coin holder, their ink, everything that is put together in the slab is made in the USA and assembled in the USA. There's only one service that does that. We'll get to that a little later. Do not buy coins graded by unknown grading services. Number four, how many of you have seen these coins slabbed up by companies you've never heard of? How many people have actually seen them? Most of you. Okay, they're all over the place. At one time, a coin dealer from Colorado told me he had over 158 different slabs in his inventory that were what we might call mom and dad or unknown grading services. We don't know where they are. We don't know who owns them. We don't know where they're located. They don't have a telephone number. But you say Joe and Mary's slabbing service and a counterfeit coin slabbed up inside, or one that's grossly overgraded. They're out there in huge quantities, and they're also sold on the internet. My opinion is, if it's not one of the top four grading services approved by eBay, and right now eBay only approves four grading services, PCGS, NGC, ICG, and ANAX. If it's not slabbed by one of those four, be very wary of the coin. It's possible the coin holdered by an unknown grading service could be totally legitimate and properly graded. It's also possible we'll see Dolly Parton in the nude here today, but I say that's highly unlikely. So let's stay away from the unknown grading services if you're trying to avoid buying coins that might be bogus. Number five, do take the ANA's counterfeit detection courses. For information, I got the phone number there. If you want to take it, call them up. They'll tell you how to do it. I taught the counterfeit course 1 year at ANAX when I worked for them in Colorado Springs. If you take the course, you get a chance to handle stacks of counterfeit coins, stacks of real coins. World-class experts will explain to you the difference. You get a chance to see, hold, and play with real and bad coins, start to get a feel for it. They will give you diagnostics. And speaking of diagnostics, do read books on counterfeit detection. Number 6. Bill Fiva has an outstanding book on U.S. gold coin counterfeit detection. It's available from Whitman. It was published about 5 years ago. I wrote the introduction to it. It's an outstanding book. Probably 80 to 90% of the counterfeit gold coins, U.S. I'm talking about now, U.S. counterfeit gold coins will be covered by that book. If you study that book, it's not a real big book, high quality photos. If you study that book very carefully, you'll probably be able to avoid 80 or 90% of all the counterfeit gold coins out there, which will put you ahead of many of the professional coin dealers in this big room here. Most of whom, I don't want to say most of whom, some of whom would not know a counterfeit gold coin if it bit them in the butt. That's the truth. And if you accidentally buy a counterfeit gold coin from somebody who doesn't know any better, you're still out the money, you still have a headache. And that's the one thing we want you to avoid today. We want you to avoid these headaches, having to return coins, trying to get your money back. We don't want to have to deal with that stuff. Number 7, I just stated that a few minutes ago, so I'm not going to repeat myself. The 4 leading services are the 4 listed at number 7. Do make use of professional graders at coin shows. I personally do over 30 coin shows a year. Skip Fazzari, my partner at ICG, does many coin shows as well. We're the only company that is consistently out there show after show after show giving free, I want to stress, free verbal opinions on authenticity and grade at the coin shows. If you went up to Tony Schweizer's table and said, would you mind if I took this coin over to have Randy look at it, he'd probably say yes. Most of the dealers would do that. So if you're not sure about whether the coin has been cleaned, has been scratched, or is genuine or not, or is the kind of variety you think it is, you think it's an overdate, or maybe it isn't, or a double die and it's just machine doubling, ask the coin dealer for his permission to take the coin over to the ICG table. You get a free verbal opinion, no charge. What I'm kind of driving at here is you have this issue at your control. There's something you can do about it. And there's really probably in 98 or 99 cases out of 100, there's no excuse for you, once you leave this room today, to buy a counterfeit coin, if you do all these 8 things here. If you do all 8 of these things, there's not much of an excuse for you to buy a counterfeit coin. And of course, you can always do the thing that we have all done who are professionals in this, just passed on a coin. You're not sure, something tells you it might be counterfeit, or you're not sure if it grades the grade you need, just pass on the coin. It's not an $1804 in all likelihood. You will get another chance to buy an example of that coin. So when in doubt, just pass. I tell people to do that. Your instincts, your intuition are right more often than you might believe. So that would be my advice to you on how to avoid buying bogus coins right now. Probably the single most important 2 things I could look on this list of 8 is don't buy coins from flea markets and yard sales, and buy coins, if you're not sure, slabbed up by the big 4 companies. They're certainly not perfect. I'll be the first to admit that. But all 4 of these companies, if you buy a coin that is found to be counterfeit and their holders, they will make you whole again. So it certainly cuts down on the risk factor. It's better than the way things were when I was a kid and when Tony was a kid. The coin market was the Wild West, baby. Every fast buck artist on the planet thought he could come to a coin show and make $1 million, and some of them did at the expense of unknowing and unwitting collectors. So you can take this into your control. There is something you can do about it. And please, please, number 5, take the ANA's counterfeit detection courses. They have a beginner's course and an advanced course. You should take both of them. You should take both of them. It's amazing to me how many full-time professional dealers have never taken those courses. In my opinion, you can't be a professional in this hobby unless you've taken them and passed them and done well.